Pua. Hi, it's San, and today I'm going to tackle a topic that many of you might have come across. It is stage presence and expressions. How can one come off as a more confident or memorable dancer, especially when you're performing live? This might be useful for any one of you who have not performed before and are wondering how to put off a good performance, or those of you who are already seasoned and want to just discuss some tips and tricks. This video is mostly based off my personal experience, and if you have any advice for yourself, do just comment down below because sharing is caring. And if you like these kind of videos and what I do on Fua Dance Tutorials, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as, if you can, support me on Patreon, where I post about my dance journey and all the tutorial videos come out 1 week early for early access. Now, before we begin, I'll talk about my background as a performer. I've been dancing for almost 10 years and performing for about 8 years, mostly in anime conventions. So usually on a stage that is typically elevated, or sometimes in an auditorium or a theater. So that is my background. I do usually cute songs, energetic songs, sometimes cool songs or sexy songs too. And I am mostly self-taught, so a lot of the advice that I give you will be anecdotal and what I like to use for myself. Today I'll cover 4 things. The first one being your aura, secondly, your facial expressions, thirdly, eye contact, and lastly, stage coverage, very specific to performing live. And my specialty is cute dances. So if you like cute, energetic dances, a lot of my advice will be catered for that, but you can apply it to other things as well. The first thing I will talk about is the aura. So before you tackle this concept of aura, you have to understand what kind of performance you are putting on. There are many different types of performances that a Japanese performer, especially in Odote Mita, can perform. One of it is the cute idol style. Then the other spectrum is maybe something more theatrical, like a contemporary dance, a very emotional dance. And then things in between are the cool dances, things that can rile up the audience. Personally, I like to put dancers on a scale of approachability. So this is not about feminine versus masculine. It's not about easy versus hard. We're talking about the concept of the dance. Some dancers are very approachable in the sense that you want to give off a feeling of someone you can meet, someone you can become friends with or join. A lot of idols fall under this cute, approachable spectrum. Nearer the middle of the spectrum, you have someone that you look up to, someone that you can draw inspiration from. So some idols or even cool dancers can fall under this, where you want to give off a confident aura. And then lastly, we have I call it untouchable region. This is the please step on me senpai aura. So if you're doing a lot of contemporary dances that are trying to tell a story, you do not want the audience to think, wow, they're so cute, when you're doing something emotional, or if you're doing like a horror themed, a very high concept, like dark themed song, or the kind that you're like pretending to be a gambler, then you don't want to have this approachable aspect of yourself. You want to be someone above the audience, quite literally, especially when you're on a stage. So the first thing you need to do is understand what kind of performance you're trying to give off. Someone that is so cute and approachable, someone that you want the audience to look up to or even aspire to become, or someone that the audience is watching for appreciation and they're here to listen to your story. So once you've understood what kind of performance you want to give off, it actually determines a lot of what kind of expressions you want to do and a lot of eye contact. When are you going to use the eye contact and how you're going to use your eye contact? So for cute songs, you want to look at your audience as much as possible. But for songs where you want to seem distant, you might not even look at the audience at all, or only find specific timings to make eye contact to give a very specific type of impact. But the most important thing is to give off a sense of confidence. Whether you are doing a cute style or a cool style, I always believe that the best kind of performances that audience love to enjoy are the kind where the performer looks confident, like they know what they're doing, that they're not lost on stage. There's a lot of aspects to it, but one of it would be the posture that you're giving off. Generally, I like to keep a very upright posture with my chest out and my shoulders back. But of course, if you're doing a cool dance, then you will have a hunched posture. Secondly, you want to have very intentional movements, especially for difficult dancers. A lot of people, they flail their way through the dance. They're trying to catch up with the movements. Their hand placements are not precise. Their lines are not exact. So one thing about dancing is that you have to know where your hands are. Even if the movement is about the feet, where your hands are is very important as well. If they're just hanging by the side, don't know where, kind of lost, it will give off a very weak impression on your audience. So this is more about body awareness and keeping the tension and awareness in all parts of your body and having very good control over your muscle strength. This will be developed over time, but when you practice a specific song more and more times, you will be more confident, more familiar with the moves. And when you put in special attention to the placement of all your body parts, you will give off a very confident aura, like you know what you're doing and where your body is. And on the last note, raising your eye line. A lot of new dancers like to look down at the floor, possibly because they are trying to figure out where they are in relation to their friends or just trying to not lose balance. But a confident dancer doesn't look at the floor. It's a very universal principle where you should always be looking straight ahead or at the audience. And for contemporary dancers or dancers that require your expressions to be shown, I always like to lift my chin and so that my eye line is raised and people can see more of my face. Okay, next up. The next point I want to talk about is expressions. So expressions will definitely depend on the kind of dance that you're doing, but in every single genre of dance, there is a wide range of expressions that you can explore. One method that I like to do is watch other people doing the same genre and observing their expressions and practicing it. Unfortunately, the reality is that you have to be quite vain about your own appearance and spend a lot of time looking in the mirror and seeing what looks good for you and what looks bad or what you think looks bad. And once you get more familiar with your face, how wide to smile, how big to open your eyes, then you'll be more sure of yourself when you're doing expressions. For cool expressions and cute expressions, there's a whole different range, but I like to break down my face into a few parts. The eyebrows, how much you raise them, what kind of expression you can make with the eyebrows, the eyes. Sometimes you can squint, or sometimes you can do wide eyes, or maybe even open one and close the other. And then lastly, the mouth, which kind of links up with the cheeks. So for cute dancers especially, there's a few that I like to do. The e, ho, So these are some things that I am very familiar with and I can cycle through my performance quite well and regularly. So for idols that do regular performances, they do a song multiple times, they would generally be quite free about their expressions and switch it up very frequently. I believe that a good performer should be able to do that. You are so familiar with the dancers and your own face that it should be quite effortless. And this comes with more practice. And the stereotypical advice would be film yourself, look at yourself in the mirror, watch others and copy them. And these are all very valid advices. So go ahead, be awkward so that you can be good on stage. A big question is, are you acting when you are expressing yourself? I think a part of it is yes, a part of it is no. For dancing, you are definitely there to express your own feelings. But of course, just because I'm doing a sad song on stage doesn't mean that I have to be sad that day. So a part of it is having to act, and a part of it is drawing your own emotions out, because if not, it won't be genuine, it won't look natural. So when I do cute songs, I do have to hype myself up. But in general, the feeling of happiness, the feeling of kawaii is coming from inside of me. And I just have to figure out how to draw that out. And then you exaggerate it a bit because you are on stage. and you have to push yourself harder. I forgot to mention this, but some people recommend lip syncing to the song. In place of expressions, I do think that you should still have some sort of expression instead of blankly lip syncing to the song. Lip syncing to the song does help you get into character though, and it also gives your mouth something to do and a bit of variation. So it does work if you have a base understanding and practice of expressions, and you apply that along with lip syncing. It can definitely go a long way. A second thing that you want to note is lip sync properly. A lot of my friends who go the extra mile will learn the lyrics even if they're not the ones singing the song, so that they can lip sync accurately. And the next thing is lip sync consistently. So if you are doing a solo dance, are you going to lip sync the whole song? Or are you just going to lip sync the chorus? Because that would be weird. If you're going to lip sync, you should lip sync all the way. And if you're in a group, you have to decide collectively whether you want to lip sync or not. And if you're going to lip sync as a group, are you all going to lip sync together? Or are you going to give each member their solo parts, if there are any? So these are some things that you want to consider when you're doing the lip sync approach. The next point I want to make is eye contact. So earlier I talked about don't look at the ground. Now I will tell you about look at your audience. This is very specific to idol style dances and something that I feel very strongly about. So when I do idol style dances, I like to look at my audience personally. So I don't look at a group of people, I look at specific individuals. And why I do this is because I want my audience to feel like they went away with a personalized experience. I know not everyone does that, and a very typical advice that you will hear people give to actors, to performers, especially in school, is you look far away, or you look at someone's forehead, or you look in between the audience, or you look at a chair next to the person. But personally for me, I want to give the best value that I can in my performances, and that's why I look at people straight dead in the eyes. So how do I do that? One thing I like to remind myself is that even if the audience is enjoying the performance and having the time of their life, their face can be blank. And inside their head, they could be having a very great time. They could remember your dance and come to you after your performance and say, wow, that was amazing. But the reality is that when we are watching TV, when we're watching something funny, our faces aren't usually smiling 24/7. So I like to remember that when I perform in front of my audience, so that even when I lock eyes with someone in the audience and I see that their face is like neutral or even looks like they're frowning, I don't give up. I don't change my target. I just go straight for that one person. I also have a principle for myself: minimum 8 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is 8 counts. Depending on the song, it might be a bit faster or a bit slower, but it's about that range. I think the most natural amount of time to spend on one particular audience member is 8 counts. So I do not switch earlier than 8 counts. Sometimes I might switch later than 8 counts, but 8 counts is the sweet spot for me. And that's because I think it leaves enough time for the audience to register, oh, MG, she's looking at me, enjoy that moment, and then I move on so that I can reach as many people as possible. I know it might be awkward at first, so sometimes when I train my dance groups, especially the school dance groups, I will make them have 3 audience members sitting in front of them. You can get your friends. It's best to get actual humans and not stuffed toys. So 1, 2, 3, and then you practice the chorus. You just dance the chorus and then you count 8 beats, 1 for the person on the left, 1 for the person on the right, and then 1/8 for the person in the middle. So 8, 8, 8, like that. You just learn how to switch between them and get used to the feeling of locking eye contact with someone. And hopefully that would kill off some awkwardness. And whether you're doing my method of directly in the eye or you're doing the textbook method of looking at the wall or in between people, I think a very strong principle is not to dart your eyes. So don't change your target. Don't like go scanning for a target. Once you find something, you find something. Don't switch walls, like you're looking at a wall but you don't know which part of the wall you're looking at. That would definitely give off a feeling of uncertainty towards your audience. So the most confident people choose a location to look at, and then they stare straight at it without changing their eyes until an appropriate timing, maybe like during a turn or during the next set of eights. And lastly, never cross the stage with your eye contact. What I mean by that, when you are performing on the stage, whether it's in a solo or in a group, there are 3 sections to the stage: center, right, and left. If you're on stage right, you shouldn't be looking at an audience at stage left. You should either look at an audience member on the right side or in the center side. Never cross over. You're crossing over into your groupmate's territory, or the audience will be very confused why you're looking so far over there when you are over here. The last point I have is rearranging your choreo for coverage. What I mean by this is that when you have a choreo and you are trying to cover it, especially covered choreos, not just original choreos, when you're doing it for the stage, do you consider how much of the stage you are using? I feel very strongly about this because I am a solo performer mostly, and when I do choreographies that are designed for one person or designed for a video instead of a stage, typically I do not move very much from the center spot, and that is a problem. When you're trying to fill up the stage as a soloist, you need to cover all sides of the stage. All the more because you are a soloist, you are small, you don't have the wow effect of a large group. You have to take in effort to cover the length of the stage that you are performing on. And a lot of people don't remember to do this because they are typically cover dancers. They dance choreographies that are already made and they just follow it to the book. But I think as a performer, it is important to give the best value to your audience. And one of the ways you can give the best value is to rearrange the choreo so that you leave the biggest impact. And how you can do this is certain parts of the dance, just drop the choreo. If you can just do less steps or remove the footwork so that you can travel from the center of the stage to the left side of the stage so that the people on the left side can have some experience, and then later on remove some of the choreo so that you can spend time traveling to the right side of the stage to entertain that side of the audience. I think the audience as a whole will have a better experience than if you spent every single second of your 3-minute song performing the choreo as it was designed. So take advantage of the fact that you are performing live for many people on a large stage by walking the whole stage. And this has to be planned very intentionally because it is weird if you are dancing the chorus not in the center of the stage. But for the verse or the bridge, it might be okay to be at the sides. So these kind of things take a lot of intentional planning, and it takes a lot of practice and thought into your performance. But if a bit of thought could make your performance like 30% better, then why not do it? This is something that I found to do maybe like 5 years into my dancing life. And when I first tried it out, I was just running across the stage like crazy, and I didn't think about where I was, and it looked a bit lost. So this has to be done with intentionality. For groups, the advice I have for you, since you are usually fixed into your positions, if you're on the idol aspect of the approachability chart, so very approachable to moderately senpai, you can give off the sense of enjoying your stage by looking at your friends while you are dancing. So drop the hit choreo, just look at your friends while you're doing the action, and firstly, it will ground yourself because you and your friend are communicating even if you're looking for that short moment of time. And secondly, it looks like you are so carefree. So a lot of fun songs, a lot of easygoing songs. I like to add that into the dance. I just drop the hit choreo. Like if the hit has to look a certain way, I just drop in and I look at my friend and we both have a very great time. But this has to be planned. This has to be planned with your friends. I recommend to plan it with your friends. If not, you're just looking at your friend and your friend's looking ahead. So if you want to do this, you can try planning it and see how that looks, whether it looks good. During this part, let's look at each other. And who knows, maybe it will make your performance look more fun, more carefree. And lastly, for soloists, go as close as possible to your audience. This is something I learned while watching a lot of overseas guests perform in Singapore, especially the idol guests, they like to go as close to the edge of the stage as possible. A lot of new performers, they get stage fright. They see a marker that indicates the center of the stage, and then they start their performance there and end their performance there. But I like to do the personal approach with my audience. So as much as possible, I like to go as close to the front of the stage, very near the stage edge. The closer to your audience, the better, and it really enhances the experience. You wouldn't really feel it unless you've been in the audience yourself and you've had your idol come up really close to the edge of the stage. So once again, this is the kind of thing that requires you to put into your choreography, move to the front of the stage. And especially on show day, when you go up on stage and you have 3 seconds to get into position before the music starts, don't freak out. Don't instinctively back off closer to the screen. Take advantage of the moment and go as close to the audience as possible for your starting position. If you are a soloist, you have the freedom to adjust as you go along. So take advantage of that. Okay, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for listening to me talk. If you enjoyed it, as usual, like, comment, and subscribe. And subscribe to my Patreon if you'd like to as well. I would love to share more about my dance journey and any tips that I have so that everyone can be better performers. Yes, so if you have any topics that you want me to talk about, do comment it below. Okay, Jane.